Guardians of the Galaxy. Released in the summer of 2014, this was the comic book film that kinda captured my heart. I mean, what can I say which hasn't been said about this film?
Guys?
Well, I hate to rehash others' words, but as a filmgoer who's generally unimpressed with most films of the comic book genre, I'd really like to praise what made this film pop out from the boring monotony of bad comic book films. Like the Avengers. Alright, don't crucify me. Lots of people like the Avengers, and lots of people hate on it too. And to be really honest, it isn't really spectacularly good or bad. It's just another drop of paint on the dull grey wall of summer blockbusters. Cheap action, easy humour, chewing gum for the brain. And while Guardians of the Galaxy certainly isn't profoundly thought-provoking or intricate, it manages to ease you into its own world, galaxy, if you will, rather than forcing you in to have trite fun. The first thing that caught me about Guardians of the Galaxy was the brevity of the backstory. It didn't waste your fucking time trying to get you to feel any soppy crap. It didn't spend 30 minutes with characters who didn't impact the plot at all. It didn't then rely heavily on this weak foundation. I'm looking at you, Man of Steel. Instead, protagonist's mum is dying. She dies. Our protagonist is abducted. While that is certainly a shitty day in anyone's book, it provides us with an easy-to-digest backstory, gives a flashback sequence during the climax, and sets up a sequel, all in 5 minutes. That is what good, effective screenwriting is all about. By the way, the sequel thing is about his dad and all, which is adeptly mentioned right at the end of the picture, rather than a dumb stinger. So, with this simple introduction out of the way, what does the film do? Throw some funky-ass jams at us. Like, seriously, I'm not the first to praise the soundtrack, and perhaps it is swaying people's judgment too much, a topic my friend Robert explores here. But these preserves are tasty, sweet jams. This serves to get the audience happy, not by gratuitous action or forced humour. Instead, it's done through really natural diegetic sound. As that sequence ends, we're provided with the core of the entire film, the quest that unites the heroes, the mysterious orb. There you have it, the setup is complete. The film progresses, as most do, and excels where some don't. The action scenes aren't too stagey, and are not hidden by shaky camera work and a twitchy editor. Another notable aspect of the film is the colour scheme. Lots of the film resides in this dark sort of purple and blue, because it's kinda like the colour of space. But we're often given, through titles and costume alike, bursts of colour, most notably the yellow used in the fonts, which complements the film and gives a very Borderlands feel to it. Even the main city of the film, which is a complementary bright compared to the darkness of space, shares the same colour scheme as Malawan from the game. Not to imply that it's copying from it, but rather taking tips from an excellently crafted game set in a similar universe. So, the bones of the plot goes like this. This guy, Kratos over here, is a bit of a fucking dick. And he wants to kill these guys because he finds their facial hair obnoxious or something. But, it's a bit extremist, and for the fear of people criticising this decision, Kratos decides to just do it all in one fell swoop, which requires the power of the gemstone locked within the orb our faithful protagonists found earlier. Our heroes are joined together when Kratos sends the abused daughter of his employer, Mr. Next Film Villain, to obtain the gem. And this is when we learn that she, rightfully, wishes to save the eyebrow folk from being fucked up, yo. Our heroes then bond by becoming a prison gang, escaping and thusly becoming a gang, but in a good way. They at first, not realising the orb's power, tried to sell it to Benicio del Toro, playing a very similar character to the Collector in Pacific Rim, last year's great summer blockbuster. They quickly learn of the gemstone's power, and feel the weight of responsibility upon learning of Kratos' fusing it with the anvil hammer thing. They hatch a plan, and it goes pretty darned well for 12%. The film feels like a real adventure, not just something being acted out like many other hero movies. I feel like this, and the most recent Wolverine, are shining beacons for all comic book films to be guided by, and examples of which endow me with hope of receiving many more like them. Summed up, Guardians of the Galaxy is what a summer blockbuster should be. Fun, and not bogged down. I think it'll certainly survive a rewatch, and come out as one of the more memorable comic book films of recent years. I give it 4.5 stars out of 5. P.S. Groot is one of the best comic relief characters introduced in recent films. He doesn't overpower the viewer with horrid humour and brash personality. He comes over as lovable and kind. All praise be to Groot.